Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going? So, what am I working on now? I have a 2012 Volkswagen Passat. It's got 166,000 miles on it. Customers complain it's a little bit of a weird one. It says, check brakes. When it's hot out, the brakes in the back don't feel like they're working. Okay, not quite sure what that means, but that's the only thing the customer said. They said it just doesn't feel right, but they think it's the brakes in the back. Maybe it's their perception of when the brakes are heated up, they just don't stop right. So I'm going to take this thing up to road, and I'm going to see what I can feel, basically. See what I feel. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. The other thing is they want a coolant flush and an oil change. So usually on a coolant flush, we just do a drain and fill. There's, with the newer style coolants, the OAT fluids, like what this should have, I believe it's OAT, organic acid technology, I think is what it stands for. Usually they don't build up any kind of debris in the system over time. Like the old style coolant, yeah, that stuff built up some nastiness in it over time. Remember the old green coolant? But then GM came out with Dexcool, and the initial Dexcool was a disaster. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Woo! You even look at it wrong and it turned to mud. So, but anyway, let me take this thing for a ride. Let me see what it feels like again. And we're going to go from there. Let me take a ride over to Mexico. And I know I've had a bunch of people say to me, Mexico? Where are you? It's just a little, I don't know. It's a joke, kind of. I just like saying it. I don't know why I came up with it. It could have been from Uncle Tony's Garage, because I know Uncle Tony's Garage, it's another YouTube channel there, great guy. He has, whenever he does like testing on the road, he's always in Mexico when he does it. And maybe that's where I got it from, I don't know. But it's basically about a mile and a half down the road, there's a office building with a huge parking lot, and it's empty. So I like going there because I like testing, and I like to be able to go there and be uninterrupted. And the police and everything else are fine with it. The people that own the property are fine with, people going on their property and, using their parking lot and stuff like that, which is really cool. They don't have it blocked off. They let you do what you want to do. But there are some idiots that show up there and have broken bottles and done all sorts of stupid stuff there. And, those are the people that ruin it for everybody else. So, anyway, going off on a tangent. Let me road test this and let's see what it does. One thing real quick. I actually have it in reverse right now. I'm not moving. I have the parking brake on. Parking brake goes to the rear brakes on these, obviously. And as soon as I let up on the parking brake, she starts to roll. And it stops it. So I just wanted to see, just out of curiosity. One other thing too is I noticed it's got a low tire light on, and I see that on the floor, and that is a jumper, and I believe it's also for a tire inflator, but I'm not positive. Yeah, it must be, because it has the tire pressure gauge there. So, but I don't see anything on their paperwork that says anything about that. So anyway, let's go for a ride, see what it feels like. So I decided to go a little further over to the Galapagos Islands. And this place is a little bit inhabited though, but this is further away, and as you can see here. So, but from here, I'm going to drive back over to Mexico. This is another parking lot I like to go to, and because it's usually quite empty, but the other one is completely empty. So anyway, let's head over to Mexico. From the Galapagos all the way over to Mexico. I don't feel anything wrong with the brakes. They feel fine to me, so I'm not quite sure what she's talking about. Every once in a while I hear a squeal, but everything else seems okay. So we're going to basically go back to the shop and we're going to do a visual inspection. But here, in case you guys were wondering, this is my little bit of heaven, Mexico, right here with my testing facility. So there's usually nobody ever here. Sometimes you get a random single person like you do all the way over there, but that's about it. So, all right, back to the shop. So I learned a long time ago, whenever somebody asks for something like a coolant flush, there's a reason behind it. People don't come in to just ask for a coolant flush. So I'm up underneath the hood here. I took the oil cap off like I always do. and I pulled the dipstick and I realized there's no oil on the dipstick. And then I pulled the radiator cap off. Now you gotta be careful when things are hot, because if they're hot, it's under pressure, and you could wind up getting burned from the coolant. So you gotta be very careful. I got the cap off, and immediately I got hit in the face with a smell. The smell's not good. However, let me show you the coolant. That's not good. The problem is, oh, that smells like head gasket. So I'm gonna put this thing up in the air. I'm gonna give it its thorough check over, but I got a funny feeling we have an issue going on here. If you have a situation of where you get oil in the cooling system, but you don't have what appears to be a head gasket type issue, look at the oil cooler. Usually it's the oil cooler, because oil pressure is higher than cooling system pressure, so oil will wind up in the cooling system. That's usually what happens. All right, let me put this up in the air. Just doing a visual in here. The rear brakes themselves, the rotors look fine. It still has plenty of meat on the pads. I can tell from here, it's kind of hard to see through the camera eye. And on the inside, you come in and look. The rotor itself is fine. See it there? Nothing wrong there. And it still has plenty of meat left on the pads, both sides. Front's the same way. The rotors themselves look good, plenty of meat on the pads. So I'm not quite sure what she's talking about with the brakes just don't feel right. But anyway, this thing has an undershield. I'm going to take the undershield out and I'm going to drain the oil. I'm going to see what we got there. But we're going to have to go a little further in and figure out about this cooling system, because just doing a flush is not going to fix whatever is going on here. I think she has another issue. All right, let's get this undershield off and we're going to go from there. Just so you can see it, these little Torxes all over the place. There's oil leaking here. There's oil. You can see the tranny. There's oil there. So there's coolant leaking. I did wipe some of it up. It's coolant leaking, but that's from me taking the cap off. All right, let's get this off. All right, let's drain the oil. I cracked it free, obviously. You can see that. And the oil itself doesn't look terrible. What's on there, or what's in there. It was low. There was nothing on the stick. But I seriously think this thing has a blown head gasket. It does have an oil cooler, but I don't think this is oil cooler, only because of the smell. So, all right, let's see what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do here now. Okay, so I just changed the oil on this, and now I'm going to do a block test, what's referred to as a block test. Basically, you're checking for combustion in a cooling system. So what I have here is I have a tester. This is the tester itself. A lot of them come with a ball on the top, a squeezy ball, like a turkey baster type thing, and that'll actually create a suction in the tube when you're checking it. This one, you have to run a separate vacuum source. You can either run it to the engine or run it to like the hand vacuum pump. Trying to find a vacuum source on many new cars is, as you can see, near impossible. So we're going to do it this way. So now what happens is you take the tool and you stuff it inside like that, and on the top, actually let me put you on a tripod. What you do is you pour a special fluid in here up to that line. And this is the fluid. And what you're checking for is you want to see if the fluid changes color. If it changes color to yellow, then you know you have a leak. Or at least you have combustion getting into the cooling system, which is what I think we have here, but I'm not sure. All right, let me start this up. All right, so with that running, what we're just going to do is, actually let me turn the light off. We're just going to take my hand vacuum pump. I am surprised I'm not seeing anything coming through here. Technical difficulties, let's see. Alright. So I was just checking my vacuum pump itself. Making sure that works. That works. Put the vacuum line back on there. So I'll take the end out here. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, I see. These things have to be covered up. And they don't cover up. So, that's kind of idiotic. Hang on a second. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. I thought I was filming there. That end piece that had two holes in it, and I wasn't allowing me to build up vacuum. Well, there's another piece in the kit that doesn't have the holes in it. I don't know what the holes are for. It makes no sense to me. So I started pressure testing it, or putting a vacuum into the system. Everything was working fine, but I tried it for a few minutes. I was getting no change. So what happened was I went and I got Rob, and he came over and he sat in it and he brought the RPMs up. The reason bringing the RPMs up is you want to build up cylinder pressure. At idle, you have the lowest cylinder pressure while it's running. If you bring the RPMs up to like 2,500, 3,000 RPMs, you have very high cylinder pressure at that point. Even though you're not technically under a load, you still have higher cylinder pressure. So that's what I was doing, and that's where we wind up at this point. To hop inside and bring the RPMs up to, like, if you can bring them up to 2,500, that'd be great. I don't know if it'll allow you to go that high, but this one don't stink yet. And I'd be the first one to tell you. Alright, we're gonna rev this thing up now. You go up to 3 grand. I do see a slight change. At least I think I do. Maybe not, but I don't know. It looks like it's a bit lighter if you ask me. Just holding pressure down on it. If you could smell this right now, whew. That's definitely lighter than it was before. Yeah, it's definitely lighter. It's got a very slight leak. Yeah, you can see it changing now. You can see it's turning to more of a yellow now. Let me see if I can't do a side-by-side frame so you can actually see. So yeah, there's a definite change there. And now it really changed to yellow. So that's combustion in the cooling system. So that's going to end this one for now. Basically, it just turned into an oil change and then me doing that block test. Unfortunately, I mean, the vehicle actually runs quite well. So what's going on? Who knows? Slightly blown head gasket. But what led up to that? Usually head gaskets just don't blow out of the blue. Yeah. So got to leave it up to her, see what she decides she wants to do. She's been driving like this apparently for a little while. But whenever a customer comes in and wants a coolant flush, or like I said with the other one, they have a CAN bus problem, they come in and say stuff like that. Usually, obviously something's going wrong because people don't just come in and ask for those things. That's just how it is. When somebody comes in and says, hey, I want a transmission service. Why? There's a reason behind it. Not just because of maintenance. Guaranteed, because people don't think about it. It's just something that happens that way. You know, they're having an issue, so they want to address it, and they think, you know, doing a coolant flush or a transmission service or whatever is going to fix the problem. It's not. It's going to band-aid the problem. Sometimes it'll make it 10 times worse, too. So, all right. So we're going to end it at that. All right. Hopefully you got something out of that video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys. Have a great day. Keep wrenching.